Hi class, today we're going to be talking about how to solve two-step equations. And before we start, I want to go over what we talked about last time with one-step equations. So can someone tell me one of the three parts of an equation? Katya? Constant. Great. And who knows the second one? Alexa?
Variable.
Perfect. And the third? Ashlyn?
Coefficient.
Awesome. Great. So two-step equations have all of these components as well. As we can see, the variable and the constant and the coefficient here is 3. But in two-step equations, it's just slightly more complicated and we have to do one more step than before. So as we talked about last time, it's really important that whatever we do to one side of the equation, we do to the other, because the equal sign divides this side from the other. So the first goal here, we have our two goals, is to isolate the variable. So we're going to get x by itself. And like I just said, we're going to do to each side the same. So here we're going to subtract 5. So we can get x alone, and these cancel out. And then we subtract 5 here. And then we bring down the 3x equals 15. Does that make sense to everyone? Perfect. And then going to this example, we do something very similar. We want x to be by itself on the one side of the equal sign. So we're going to get rid of the 12 by adding it to both sides. And then we have 1/2 x equals 20. Does that make sense to everyone? Perfect. So now our second goal is to make sure that the coefficient equals 1. So you can see here the coefficient is 3, and here the coefficient is 1/2. So we want to make sure we get rid of those numbers. So here, remember we do the same thing to each side. So we're going to divide 3 and divide 3. So the 3's cancel out, and x equals 5. Does that make sense? Great. And then here, it gets a little trickier. So we're going to have to get rid of the 1/2. And does anyone know what the reciprocal fraction is? Ashlyn?
2.
Great. So we just flip the fraction, right? So we're going to multiply each side by 2/1. So that gets rid of our fraction. And then multiply this side by 2/1 as well. So then we end up with x equals 40. Does that make sense to everyone? Perfect. Now that we've reached both of our two goals, we've isolated the variable and then made sure the coefficient equals 1 on both of them, we're going to go back and check our solution, because that's really important that we know that we did the right thing. So to go back, we're going to plug in 5 for x in the first equation. So we're going to say 3 times 5 plus 5 equals 20. So we know 3 times 5 is 15, plus 5 equals 20. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay, so can anyone volunteer to come and show us how to check the second one? Katya? Thank you. Good. So Katya did great, good job, and she plugged in 40 for where x was, so she did 40 over 2, right? Because you do 40 times 1 divided by 2. And then minus 12 equals 8. So she brought that all down. And then we know 40 divided by 2 is 20, minus 12 equals 8. So we did it right. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Now that we've gone through all the steps to solving two equations, does anyone want to try their own equation by themselves? Ashlyn? So the first thing we want to do is isolate the variable, right? Perfect. Good. So she added 7 to both sides, so we're keeping it equal. Perfect. And then she's making the coefficient 1. Awesome. And then you want to go back and check it really quick? Perfect. Good job, Ashlyn. Thanks again for listening today, you guys. I hope you learned about two-step equations, and I actually made up a chant for us to sing so we can remember this after today. So snap along with me, and I'll sing it for you first, and then we can sing it together. So it goes to the tune of ABC by Jackson 5. So it goes, two-step equations, easy as 1, 2, 3. Then we add or subtract to get x alone, divide or multiply, so divide the coefficients. Got it? Okay, let's do it together. Ready? Two-step equations, easy as 1, 2, 3. Then we add add or subtract to get x alone, divide or multiply, say by the coefficients. Good. One more time? Okay. Two-step equations, easy as 1, 2, 3. Then we add or subtract to get x alone, divide or multiply, say by the coefficients. Perfect. Good job today, you guys.